Hello and welcome back to our study of keyboard instruments. Today we will be discussing the harpsichord. And the harpsichord is an instrument that was used mostly during the Baroque time period. And what makes them sort of unique, they could not play with dynamics. The reason they could not play with dynamics is they could play either loud or soft. They had a mechanism called a plectrum that would pluck the string or brush the side of the string. So if it was plucked, it would be more abrupt of a sound and louder. And if they just brushed the side of the string, it would be a soft sound. So they typically had two keyboards, a soft keyboard and a loud keyboard. And that's how they worked. The earliest mention of one in writing dates from 1397, so they've been around a while. The rise of the piano, or the pianoforte was the name of the instrument, that really led to the downfall of the harpsichord as a useful part of any ensemble, because the piano is so much more versatile. So there's a story about all the harpsichords at the Paris Conservatory of Music. Now, this is a place people went to study from all over the world, and of course, harpsichords were everywhere. Everybody had one in their studio because, of course, it's a harpsichord. You have to have one to play music, right? Well, when they started buying pianos, they had all these harpsichords left over, and what do we do with them all? Do we sell them? Do we give them away? What do we do? Well, their great solution to this was that they were chopped up and used for firewood. Yeah. Oops. If they would have kept them and stored them, perhaps, or even moved them to other places, they'd be worth millions of dollars now. Oops. Bad decision there. The harpsichords that you see from the Baroque time period, a lot of them had very fancy accoutrements on the side and paintings underneath the lid, and they were sometimes more a showpiece than a musical instrument. The composer we're going to listen to today is Domenico Scarlatti. He wrote quite a few sonatas for harpsichord. That's basically just a solo that goes through a series of progressions. It's an exercise, but they're meant to be performed publicly. He wrote 555 of these. That's a lot. His father, Alessandro Scarlatti, was also a famous composer. Let's see. He spent most of his life in Spain, even though he was Italian. That's where he got a job, and he stayed there most of his life. Let's see. Harpsichords are typically about 8 feet long. I get to play with one on a pretty regular basis every time I play Messiah. It's usually members of the Spokane Symphony, and they have a really nice harpsichord that they bring into this church in Spokane. And it's a neat sound. So I get to hear them live all the time. There was a resurgence in popularity in the 20th century for harpsichord, mainly due to the work of one woman. Wanda Landowska was her name. Her recordings are legendary in the harpsichord community, if you ever find yourself in the harpsichord community. But it was also used in many, many more ensembles than just solo. A lot of Baroque resurgence ensembles. There's one called the Orchestra of the Age of Enlightenment, and they like to play on period instruments, which means instruments that were built when the music was written. They use harpsichords a lot. You'll sometimes hear them in symphony orchestras, in movie soundtracks, even in jazz, believe it or not. There were a few musicians that like to feature that. So let us take a little listen here to the Sonata in C minor by Domenico Scarlatti.